Welcome, 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 everyone, to another superior adventure into reality. I want to welcome David Ellis to the show once again, and we have a special guest. David, welcome to the show.
Hey, Andrew, how are you going?
I'm doing great today. You have been reaching deep into your Rolodex of personalities and have someone to introduce to us.
Oh, yes. I have someone really special to introduce to you guys today. Everybody meet Konstantina. She prefers to be called Dina, but I like Konstantina. Right? So she will forever be known as Konstantina. I don't care how many syllables I have to say. So Dina is a corporate fixer in Toronto. Your business has problems and Dina will fix it for you. Dina has a brain in her head. And today we're going to be talking about how you guys can survive the economic downturn that's going to come. And some of you are already in an economic downturn. So Dina, first of all, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I did a piss poor job of introducing you. So tell us about yourself, Dina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dina Petsis, as David just explained. I'm an entrepreneur. I started a company 7 years ago, and I realized that I do love creating and I like fixing inefficiencies. So I went from creating my own brands to not managing them the way I should have, because I really liked creating instead. So that's what I like to do. I like to fix things and let them off and let it sail.
How did you find yourself into the world of fixing? I know you've led us a variety of businesses from juicing to everything. What was the journey that got you from, entrepreneurial person to corporate fixing?
It was my hardships. It was all the problems that I had to fix within my own business. So I probably made every single mistake you could make starting your own company, whether it was my fault or just the learning curves along the way. And every time I required to come up with a solution, and it was always a different solution, and it was always very, very fast in order to successfully move forward.
Outstanding. So we have a gigantic audience of people who are deep into the esoteric, but have little to no business sense. And David and I have been trying to herd the feral cats into understanding business. And what are some of the myths you want to break about owning your own business and the work that has to be done?
Well, you do need to work hard, and you have to have zero expectations. You need to have goals in line, but you really don't know. You need to have a lot of trust and faith in the universe, that the universe is always going to have your back in whatever you're doing.
Okay. So Dina, in terms of how people organize their business, what we want to do here is we're going to take it from the very beginning. You have an idea, and we're going to take them through step by step, first of all, and we're going to spend a little time doing that. And then we're going to give them some advice on, well, right now, everybody's in an economic crunch.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is to give them advice. But let's start with the idea formation. So you've had many ideas, Dina. Yeah, you sat me down and you talked to me about a whole bunch of ideas. Tell me, from the idea stage to actually doing stuff, tell me, give me some advice, sir.
Well, an idea is only an idea until it has something behind it, right? Until you start planning, you start creating, you start mind mapping. So what I normally do is I create an idea. I discover where the niche is, where the difference is in the company, that the industry that I'm trying to approach, how I could be, something different in that field, how to have a competitive edge within that field. And then I start mind mapping. I start building on the system behind it. After creating a system and the branding behind targeting a specific customer within that field, then you obviously need to know if it's going to make money. So one of the most important steps that even myself, starting off as an entrepreneur, I was going, you know, like a chicken with my head cut off, just running forward. And I'm like, it's okay, we're going to make money. We're going to make money. But feasibility is one of the most important steps, and it should always be done at the beginning to see if, you know, there's a high enough profit margin. Because as you continue to grow, that profit margin gets smaller and smaller and smaller as you start to outsource different parts of your businesses.
Mm-hmm. What I've found with a lot of people is that they have an idea, but they have a lot of people have a lot of ideas. And I want you to understand there's a whole bunch of millionaires out there that haven't made any money. Okay? Yeah. They're potential millionaires, and they have to come from a position of, this is my idea, I'm going to change something into something, but they can't exactly, the house is what really kills them, and because they don't have that project management mind on board, and then they have to deal with the confidence issue. So Dina, I know you don't have a confidence issue. So,
no.
For those of you who don't know Dina, I've known Dina for a little while, and the first thing I thought of when I met Dina was, this chick has no chill. Right? This chick will run with whatever. So, Dina, how do you, any advice for getting people past that that stagnation stage where they're doubting themselves?
Yeah, you have to be willing to lose. You have to be willing to lose. You have to be willing to fail a few times. If you're willing to lose everything, then you can move forward with confidence with no problem.
And interesting. So what are the issues that you get with your clients? Dina and I are roughly in the same kinds of business. What is it that what are the issues that you get with the clients? What is the confidence problems that they have? Is it like childhood stuff, or is it just like, I'm so afraid?
It's comfort. Mm-hmm. It's comfort. People don't want to be uncomfortable, but the most important things happen in discomfort. Magic always happens in discomfort. You know, that's when the best innovations come to life. You know, Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham was written on a bet. And it's one of the most successful books, children's books ever written. Even chicken wings. Chicken wings were created by mistake because the chef had nothing else. The chicken wings were being thrown in the garbage, and she had nothing to serve her clients as appetizers, and she just fried them up, and it's a staple in every bar, right?
Just like nachos were created by a Texan, and he had nothing left to serve the person but some tortillas he deep fried real quick and threw some guacamole and sour cream on.
You know that is really, really sad, because that came across from Mexico, right?
Yes.
It's like, gee, I have nothing left, so you know what? Let's do what the Mexicans do, and then you want to build a wall, really. Anyway, as I was saying, you got to build a wall.
Hold on, David. Hold on. If you are listening on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, or any of the other channels we're on, and want to be about the conversation and want to be able to ask questions or call in, we are talking business, fixer, the future of the economy. Come into zoom.us. The meeting number is 911-001-1974. And if you look on the screen, there are a set of phone numbers, 1-800 numbers that you are able to call that are toll-free, except for your minutes, US, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia. And if you want to be a part of the conversation audience, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, you've got to come into the zoom.us room. All right, go ahead, David.
Okay, so Dina, you have an idea and you've psyched yourself up to actually go through with the idea, and you do the feasibility study. What does a feasibility study look like? You want to know that your product or service is going to make money. But what is a feasibility study? A lot of the people who are in our audience, they're therapists, they're into food and beverage like yourself as well. Some of them are have vegan products and so on. I don't know whether Andrea's part of this chat room right now. And we want to get an idea of how you, Dina, would conduct, just a general idea of how you would conduct a feasibility study. Incidentally, before we go on, Dina is also a consultant. So if any of you guys are stuck, Dina is going to give you some information at the end as to how to contact her. Dina, go ahead.
So sorry, your question, because I just got lost my.
How do you? That's fine. How do you go about doing a feasibility study to see whether the product or service is
Okay.
viable in the market?
So step one is you need to find your suppliers. So if you need to find good suppliers, reliable suppliers, you need to know the pricing on all parts of your business. So whether that is your bottle, your label, your product that's going in, the price of the co-packing, you need to have at least a pretty good idea on everything, what everything is going to cost. You need to find these people first. Another really important thing to know is your burn rate. So after discovering everything, how much your product's going to cost per bottle or per unit, you need to figure out how much money you need to spend per month before you run out of money. You know, your burn rate. If somebody hands you $50,000, how many months can you stay alive with that $50,000 prior to making any sales?
Yep, exactly. All right, so you have the feasibility study. How do you determine the market or the niche that you're going into? Somebody used one of your businesses as an example. You started up a juice business. Who were you catering to?
Health conscious, the not quite the gym goer, more the yoga practitioners, the health conscious individuals that didn't care about high sugar content. So not really the calorie counter.
Mm-hmm. And how did you determine that this was the market segment that you were going to?
Well, when I started, cold pressed juices was buzzing because of that documentary that was released, Sick, Fat, and Nearly Dead. So after Sick, Fat, and Nearly Dead, he did most of the marketing for the cold pressed juice industry.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was on cold pressed juices. The industry started to die down when keto was introduced. So when keto was introduced, people started to look at sugar like an enemy, natural sugars in fruit juices. So that's what kind of slowed down the cold pressed juice industry. But my whole angle on cold pressed juices was all my juices are based on the different chakras. So they're named after what they inspire you to do. So survive, change, believe, things like that. So mine was.
I see.
Yeah.
So you mapped your product onto the market that you were trying to target.
Yeah, and it really the juices had a part of me inside because I'm a certified yoga instructor. So I was kind of, building on me, and that's usually what happens when you build a product. It's you that goes into that business, right?
I want to chime in here for a second.
Yeah.
For all those people out there that have said they can't start their own business, listen to this lady. It took motivation and inspiration, and from the yoga instructor to chakra points to making a juice. Each and every one of you out there listening can start a business. You just got to start believing in yourself.
Mm-hmm. There's another angle to this as well. I want y'all to listen to Dina very carefully. She mapped her product onto the market that she was trying to attract. So a lot of people a lot of you out there are just generic practitioners. And I say generic. If you just put yourself out there as a Reiki practitioner, if you just put yourself out there as another practitioner, there's a differentiation aspect that has to happen. What is it about you specifically that will actually make me come to you? Okay, like Dina's cold pressed juices, as a yoga teacher myself, I would think, oh, somebody's catering to yoga teachers, so I'm going to go buy that juice. Okay.
It's not just about selling. It's not just about selling Lululemon pants to them.
Don't get me started on Lululemon. You know that is going to trigger me. You know that's going to trigger me. You know it's going to trigger me.
David, we're going to start our own yoga pants line.
No, it's true. I just want to say something. It's really important because I was faced with a lot of situations where I was scared of. I didn't want to use co-packers, or I didn't want to work with a partner because I thought, oh my God, he might steal my idea. He might steal my recipes. You might steal this. And you know what? At the end, it happened. My recipes were stolen from me. You know, a contract was taken from me, but it's not the same. It's not mine. You know, it didn't come, everybody is unique. So everybody can create, right? If you create from your authentic self, you could make something. But nobody is going to make what I can make or what you can make, right? It's always going to be different if it's authentic, right?
Exactly. So Dina's juices, or chakra juices. So it's not just another lemonade stand. It wasn't just another lemonade stand. It was a lemonade stand with purpose. And I want you guys to think about that. All of you who have businesses out there, what makes you special? Do you have a little store somewhere or a little therapy room somewhere, and you have a little sign outside your store and that's it? And you think that that's enough? It's not enough. That makes a difference between moving from zero to hero. I'm going to take that phrase from Andrew because that's, yeah. Okay, because you will survive, you will make money, but do you just want to survive? That's just the issue. So we're having that kind of business discussion because as you can see, Dina and myself, we're into consciousness. We are into consciousness, but we can operate in the business world, and a lot of esoteric people cannot operate in the business world.
They are not multidimensional amphibious. You guys are. You have learned that amphibious frog skill.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say a lot of, I want to debunk a belief system here, and I'm going to let Dina speak to this as well. A lot of people who are into consciousness, health, and wellness, they don't, they think that business is something dirty. Andrew and I met a guy once, and in Boulder, oh, do you laugh? You're starting to laugh. He was into consciousness and he refused to touch money. And when I say refuse to touch money, I mean as in physically touch money, as in literally physically touch money. A lot of you have versions of this belief system out there, and you need to disconnect that from your mind. Dina, tell them about this this thing, because I'm sure you've encountered this in your dealings with people.
Well, yeah,
Dina?
Business can be dirty. Business can get like that, but you don't, as long as you remain a conscious individual in your choices, whatever happens to you, you know, the world is as good as it is as bad as it is as well, right? So you're going.
I think we lost Dina.
Hold on. Well, I'll wait until she comes back on. So basically, what we are trying to give you guys is that. Go ahead.
Oh,
you just faded out for a second. Your internet faded out for a second. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What I'm saying is, as long as you remain true and you don't allow these people to break you in business, then it can be a good place. You know, it's you create your own reality at the end of the day, right? If somebody's going to be slimy with you in business, it doesn't mean that you need to be that way as well. So it could be done. I mean, I've been screwed over in many different ways, you know, from people that at one point I remember thinking I should stop getting excited. And I remember my friends telling me, what do you mean? No, you just got into Metro. You just got into 200 stores. You got the private label for Farm Boy. I said, yeah, but tomorrow everything could change. And that was the fear that I had. And it's because it had happened so many times over and over again. But what I learned going forward was protect yourself. Protect yourself from every aspect. Don't let anybody, you know, I'm naive. I walked into business very naive because I think, yeah, but there's good in that person, or they wouldn't do that to me. But they did. Of course they did, right?
How did you move from the schmuck to the fixer personality? Because I have my own story, but go ahead. How did you move from being a schmuck to being a fixer personality?
Well, I had to go through a few bad moments first, right? I had to lose quite a bit first. And then the second I protected myself, I had made a kombucha. In 30 days, I made a kombucha. Somebody approached me and said, can you do this product? I said, yeah, okay. How long? 30 days. So I made the recipe. I found the competitive edge. It was a low-calorie kombucha. And I went to Metro. I presented it. I got my first sale. So I had a problem with these partners. But this time, for the first time, I registered the trademark, so I owned it. I never gave the suppliers up, nor did I ever, I never gave the suppliers up, and they never had the recipe. So when that relationship ended, because it just wouldn't work out, they couldn't move forward, and I didn't lose. I lost some time. I gained knowledge on how to protect myself. And I gained knowledge on different aspects of me that I can do something in 30 days, right?
Understood. So assuming that we have the feasibility study as a down packed and everybody gets that correct, then it's like game time. So I'm going to chime in here on this. When you guys are registering a business, you have to think about, we're going to be doing a webinar, a series on business soon. Andrew, you're going to tell them about that a little bit later on. But when you, I'm going to just give some information here. When you are starting a business, how you register that business is very important. Okay? A lot of people register the business and find out themselves getting screwed later down the line, because if something starts wrong, it won't end right. Okay? So let's say you're a sole practitioner. You may think that becoming a sole practitioner and doing only that thing, becoming a sole proprietor, and you register your business as a sole proprietorship is a bright idea. It might not be, you know, depending on what it is that you intend to be doing in the future. But a lot of people make that mistake, and we want to break that down for people. So if you are a sole proprietor, but you intend to be doing products and you're going to be taking on partners and taking on investors, take the limited liability route first of all. Protect yourself, as Dina said. Protecting yourself means from the get-go, all your paperwork is correct, all your paperwork is to your advantage, and all your paperwork is in order, okay? Because one of the things that governments like to do, let me give you a few facts here so that we understand. In Canada, where Dina and I live, we had a situation where conglomerates, huge conglomerates, airline industry, and so on, they were cheating the government for years, okay? And their financial consultant, a very big financial firm, there's a scandal about it, you could check it out on YouTube. They helped them. They were actually putting money in the Isle of Man, actually. So I'm just going to give you hints as to where you could find this on YouTube. They were putting money in the Isle of Man. CBC Marketplace did an expose on them. Would you like to know what transpired? When they were found out, it was brought to Parliament, and what happened was that they escaped through a loophole. They were given a slap on the wrist, a fine. If you are a sole practitioner, sole proprietor, and you're a small person, you are going to get screwed over. That is a statement of fact. These are things that you have to understand, okay? So when you are registering your company, make sure your paperwork is correct and make sure that you have layers and layers of protection. For those of you who are therapists out there, your intake forms, the way you conduct business is very important. We live in a litigious society. If you are in North America, we're living in a litigious society. People will sue you for looking at them the wrong way, okay? If you are in the food and beverage industry, it takes one bad product landing somebody with an allergy in hospital and you don't have that stuff on your label, that it might trigger that, and they will sue you, okay? And we don't want to scare you guys, but it's not very difficult to get your paperwork in order. A lot of you don't want to seek advice. So if you don't want to seek advice, you know what, Andrew? Let's do a webinar and help these people out at some point in time.
Oh, absolutely. And we've been talking about getting this business webinar that's going to have a whole bunch of tools and pre-written documents in it so that it makes things a lot easier. And a lot of people think I don't have the law background, this or that. It just takes some reading and standard comprehension. And that's what this webinar is going to do, is help you with the comprehension side, because so many people just feel overwhelmed as soon as they have to sign a contract or read a contract, thinking you have to give everything to a lawyer.
You don't.
Right?
You
can
actually
operate
don't.
under memorandums of understanding, which is a fully legal document.
Okay. So Dina, you've been in partnerships with people before?
Yes.
Tell us about your experience.
No partnership has worked out. Zero.
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
So I've been approached by so many different types of people. So many. It just said, somebody asked why. The dynamic wasn't there. Roles and responsibilities were not figured out at the beginning. So one really important thing is, for you to have a successful partnership, either your visions need to be identical, or I need to bring something, you need to bring something different, but our roles and responsibilities need to be completely different, and one can't stomp on the other person's ground. That's a big no-no. So it's communication. It's communication. If
you also have to be operating at the same speed, which, yeah. Dina, we know what the speed issue is. Okay, so Dina runs really fast.
I do run
fast. Let me give you an idea of how fast Dina runs. I called Dina up. I said, Dina, I need you to be on the show next week. And she's like, okay. That's fast. I called Dina this morning. I didn't speak to her the whole weekend. I'm like, Dina, we have to be on the show. She's like, okay, I'll be there. That's how fast Dina runs. So the point that I'm trying to bring across to you guys is, when you're making partnerships, a shared vision is important, but the shared approaches to how you do business is also important. Okay?
Yeah.
So, okay, so we have the feasibility study. We've determined the market, and we've determined how it is that we're going to position ourselves in terms of the registry. Because if we do a partnership, we are taxed differently. In the US, I don't want to get into a long discussion about setup, but you have different kinds of limited liability companies. You have C Corps and S Corp. I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. Go with the S Corporation. Okay? Because C Corporation means that the corporation as a body is taxed, or whatever your business is taxed, and you are taxed individually. Okay, go S Corp. If you can, go S Corp. There's certain restrictions that apply, but go ahead. If you are in Canada, all right, incorporate. If you can get limited liability, do that thing. And I'll tell you why that is, because as a sole proprietor, your ass is exposed. Okay, it is very much so. It is exposed in terms of taxes, and it's exposed in terms of, it's also exposed in terms of your liability. Okay, so like if you are a therapist, you're massaging somebody one day, and I don't know, one of your massage therapy legs gives out, or on the table gives out. They roll off the table, especially if you're doing acupuncture on the bed somehow. Right, so, right. Sorry, I just had that image. Right, so they roll off the bed with the needles in them. Anyway, as I was saying, if you are that kind of person, if you are into these kinds of fields, you need to protect yourself. You need layers and layers and layers of protection. And it's not something that has to be rigid or clinical. It could be something as simple as sign the form, but the form that you sign when you come into my practice has layers of protection in it. And the truth of the matter is 90% of the people listening to this broadcast never read the forms that they sign when they go to the doctor. They just simply sign it, right?
Yeah.
Once it goes after past three sentences, it's like, whatever. Let me just sign this thing because I need this service. So, okay, we have that down pat, the protection itself. The next issue is getting the business underway. So, Dina, give us some advice in terms of, let's try from the therapy side now. if I was a therapist and I came to Dina and I said to Dina, I want to start my business. I have registered with a partner of mine and we have an LLC or whatever else. What we are doing is we're located a venue, I guess. How should I proceed from there?
Well, first I'd figure out the burn rate, like I mentioned earlier. I'd figure out total expenses per month. I'd come up with some goals on how much money needs to be made per month, what that translates to clients, how many clients that is. I would also discover who I would like to reach out to. So what kind of clients I want, a specific group. I would focus my energy on that, so I would have a focus, and then I'd create a marketing campaign targeting that specific group of people.
Yep, that's what I wanted to get into right now. I have seen some horrendous, horrifying. Up to this morning, Andrew and I were talking about horrible marketing from people. I mean, like really bad, right? We're not going to bring any examples on the show, but just this morning, Andrew and I were talking about certain businesses and their horrible marketing.
Yes.
If it is that you are marketing yourself as anything, please, I understand that you want to be witty and you want to be original. There's something that is too original, so original that people will be like, yeah, no.
That's because people are caught in their own bubble and don't know how to share their ideas.
Sorry.
Yeah. And all too often people share their ideas and get shot down because they're crappy ideas.
Yeah.
Or people just don't get the shtick or the niche.
Well, with my juice company, it took a while to express my brand. You know, it took me at least like 15 minutes when somebody would walk into my store. I'm like, it's a juice, but it's based on the different chakras, which really connects to 2 major organs. And they're like, what? I'm like, change, change. It hits your digestive system if you have inflammation. And they were confused, right? I'm like, well, I got to figure out how to simplify my message and really get it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you did it. The thing is, you did it, and you got it out to a larger size audience than a lemonade stand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? And it just took refining the idea.
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes it's you got to step away from what you're creating. You have to step away from what you're creating and see, first of all, if anybody even digs your marketing and your product. So you have to create something for someone else.
Right.
Although it's coming from you, it has to be attractive to someone else, or else you're the only person that's gonna buy it, right?
You're the chorus of one, always echoing back your own ideas. That's called being in the bubble.
Here's the other
tapping yourself on the back.
Here's the other part of that problem. The other part of that problem is a lot of people name their products and their businesses after things that they believe in. Let me explain something to you. I'm a psychotherapist, and when it is that I started practicing, there was a psychotherapist who labeled himself as a Christian psychologist. Okay, I guess you're only seeing Christians then.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess you're only seeing Christians there. Your belief system is not someone else's reality. That's the first thing you need to take into consideration. If you are a yoga teacher, for instance, and you are teaching Hinduism in your classes, okay, and there are people who are just regular people who just want to enjoy a yoga session, then what you're doing is alienating people, okay? As a yoga teacher, I could tell you that I've taught Muslims, and you know, Muslims and Hindus don't usually gel. I've taught Muslim kids, I've taught Christians, I've taught people from every possible walk of life, because I removed the dogma and the BS belief system from the practice. Okay, a lot of you decorate. I understand that y'all are passionate about what it is that y'all believe in and whatever else, but please understand that when you are marketing and branding your businesses, you need to not alienate people, or probably you want to alienate people. Okay, but there is a successful way of alienating people without making it in your face, because then it looks like you're trying to be offensive to people. Okay, it looks like so you need to be and it will hurt your bottom line. It definitely will hurt your bottom line, because you may only want to deal with a certain kind of people. Like a lot of you esoteric people only want to deal with esoterically minded people, but this is not a social club. It's a business. Okay, so if somebody comes off the street and the person is the most dense person on earth, you have to be prepared to cater to that person without pushing your stuff at that person. Okay, because it's going to and the thing about it is, never underestimate. It doesn't matter if you're in a metropolitan area, it doesn't matter if you are in a small village. Never underestimate the power of word of mouth, because nowadays we have Yelp, right?
And
We have
sometimes
Yelp.
all it takes is a friendly conversation as a business owner that's not about business to make that person a lifelong client.
Correct.
I just want to chime in something that David said earlier. So I created my logo as an ohm, but I flipped it so that it kind of looks like a little heart apple. So to somebody who is into yoga and chakras, they're going to understand what the logo is. But for somebody who isn't, they just think it's an apple and it's forbidden fruit. So there was like a double meaning to the branding behind my company. Part of it was that if you did understand, the information is presented to you, and there was a little legend on the side of the bottle that told you which chakra the juice is targeting and what it does for you from a bodily function and from a spiritual side. So it was kind of presented there to show you that if you are on this path, you will understand it. But if you are not, then that's okay too. So I just wanted to say that. So I didn't want to tell people what to believe or force a belief onto someone,
Mm-hmm.
but better just to present it to them and allow them to draw their own conclusions as to what it meant for them. And at the end of the day, there was a positive message on a bottle telling them that, survive. All you need to do is survive today. This targeting your skin and your immune system or change,
Understood. So, okay. We've done the differentiation. We've gotten the business. We're starting a business and so on. Okay. What does launch look like to you, Dina?
Launching a product?
Mm-hmm.
Launching a product, you have all your ducks in a row. You have your pricing down packed. You have your co-packer, your manufacturing set up, your business model is set up. You've made decisions on whether you're going to be creating everything or which parts of the business are outsourced. You have a small growth plan to see where you can go in the future. You have all your goals lined up.
Mm-hmm.
You have a demand for what you're doing. Most important.
Mm-hmm.
Have a demand, or you've created a demand based on changing your product.
Understood.
And a pre-launching marketing campaign, and you guns blazing. You go.
Okay, so this is the part where people. This is the part. This launch aspect is where people get the jitters setting in. Right, more often than not, they started the jitters from the time it starts from when it is like, I'm not sure if I should do this, but when it becomes real and very live,
or they get the lost puppy attitude, David. Okay,
right? So when it becomes extremely live and it's like that, live and direct, and this is what I'm going to be doing, they become very, very frightened, and they lose confidence. So I'm going to chime in with some advice here, but I'm going to let Dina as well give you some advice. if you are at that point in time, this is the time that you most need people around you. I don't care, positive people around you. And when I say positive people, I mean people that tell you, you can do this thing. Not people that are going to tell you shit like, you know, that's a lot of money. What if you don't make it? None of that crap. You need to expel all that energy from your environment immediately.
All of the negative Nancy's got to go.
Yeah, you can do anything. Absolutely anything. If you could think it, you can imagine it, you can create it, you could do it.
Right now, there's somebody selling ice machines to Eskimos, and they're making them a fortune. They're making a fortune right now. Okay.
You remember the guys who marketed stones from all over the world?
Pet rocks.
Jesus Christ.
The guy made pet rock.
There is a guy who bottled oxygen, who bottled air and sold it to China. It's all in marketing. You find a demand and you do it. That's it.
Pet rocks, my God, this is something else. Yeah, I remember that story. There are a lot of actual cases of people who made products that you would not even, like, honestly, like they just came up with a concept and they ran with it and they were extremely and hugely successful. Okay. And they didn't have like huge degrees behind them. So let me get into the minds of some people who are in the chat right now. Some of you are thinking, I don't have enough. Whatever you have is enough for what you want to do. Okay. Some of you are thinking, I'm not smart enough. Okay. Well, if you're thinking that you're not smart enough, from the time you're putting that block in and of yourself, as Dina said, you have to be prepared to fall on your face, get back up again, fall on your face again, get back up again. The people who are good at business, they've had failures before.
Just like the Chumbawamba song, you got to get knocked down and you get back up again. And if you want to come and be on our Zoom call, we're going to be taking calls here in just a little bit. The information is on the screen. Go to zoom.us. Meeting number is 911-001-1974. And if you want to call in and listen from your phone or call in, and we'll be taking questions later, all the information is there on the screen. And Robert will leave it up for about a minute for all those that are questioning, do I want to come to the room and experience what it's like?
Okay. So we have now gotten to the stage where the launch is over. Business has to be conducted. Okay, Dina. Here is the thing that you guys are missing. And I need to speak to you guys about it because that's one of the things that the challenges you're going to have if you start a business or if you're in business. Isn't it funny that when you start a business, people come out of the woodwork. They want services and they want goods from you. And you are a yes person because you want to start your business on positive vibrations, especially if you are esoterically inclined. So what you probably should be doing is hardening yourself to understand that you will get solicited by family members, your friends, because they want the services of your businesses for free. Yeah. You know this. All right? Especially if you have a big family, not that I am.
Oftentimes, not only they want it to be free, but they want it to be a part of your business, so it's going to cost you later.
Yes. So family member needs a job. You could do reception for me, but family member has no experience. But you hire that family member because you figure
you're pitying them.
You figure that you have an obligation. This is death to your business. This is exactly death to your business. And I'm going to let Dina chime in here. But I just wanted to put that out there because I'm targeting. We only have limited time on this broadcast. We're going to be doing a webinar, as I said before. But I want to put that out there because we're going to be dealing with all those problems. So I'm just bringing them up. Dina, what has been your experience with this kind of stuff?
Well, with hiring family, I'll tell you because I have two experiences, one good and one bad. So I had started juicing with my mother.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, my mother with her was the best thing ever. She had more energy than I had. We would juice all day from I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd go to the food terminal. I'd get my produce. I'd come back 6 o'clock. We'd start cutting. We would juice all day, and we were pressing all the juices. So she would take the pulp home after. Now we're done at 9 p.m. She would take the pulp home and make jam and be up again at 6 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't even wrap my head around. My mother's 65 years old.
She's Greek. She can't
Yeah,
help it.
she's Greek.
Yeah. We had to point that out, right, Andrew?
Exactly.
We had to point that out. It's not like there's only one Greek person in the room. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But that was a good experience because she didn't let me put my feet up, not for 1 second. I couldn't even think about putting my feet up for a moment and try and take a break or no. We were just going, and it was that energy that I needed to go out there and get my own account because I didn't have a distributor, I didn't have a salesperson, I was wearing every single hat that an entrepreneur wears at the beginning, you know. But on the negative side, I did hire my brother. And I did fire my brother.
Oh, that's cold, Dina. That's real cold. I respect it at 100%. Right? I respect that at 100%.
It had to be done. At the end of the day, you got to look at who is valuable in your business, who isn't, right? And that's the real reality behind it. And you got to do what you got to do. I mean, it's my brother. I know he's not gonna not talk to me. He still talked to me 2 weeks later. But
it took 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks. How bad was the firing?
I stood on a chair and I said, "You're out."
So when I was young, I started work at my parents' restaurants, like 6 years old. And I think when I was like 9 or 10, I said, I'm going on strike. I'm not going to get paid $3 a day.
Yeah.
I walked around with a sign that said on strike.
Did you get fired, Andrew?
No,
Okay.
I didn't get fired.
So
I tried quitting and I couldn't quit either.
No, you're 9 years old. What quitting? This is child labor.
Exactly.
It's perfectly legal.
Start bringing donations to your parents.
Exactly. I'm on strike. You can't go on strike. Watch me.
And so here's the other issues that you're gonna run up into in business. So we've done this, and then you decide you're gonna be on Facebook or Twitter or whatever else, and there are going to be negative idiots everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you a personal example of mine. A friend of mine, she's a erotic blueprint coach. She asked me to assist her with some marketing. She got onto Facebook. She did a Facebook advertising, and within a week, her massage therapy instructor posted some negative comment on her Facebook, and I was livid. I was absolutely pissed off, right? Because the massage therapy instructor for her posted a negative comment that says that, how do you manage massage therapy and being a sex coach? And you're going to get these people, they're jealous. There are a lot of people who are jealous, and every move that you make, you're going to get haters. You have to get your mind in the frame of, you have to get your mind together that says that there are going to be haters no matter what you do, right? If you sit there and do nothing, you will have haters, okay? Okay. So you might as well be rolling in dough and have haters. It's a lot better to be doing that, but than to be doing the other thing. Dina, what is your opinion on that?
You need to have people that inspire you around you. You feed off one another. You need that energy. Me personally, I'm my own cheerleader. And I mean, like I said earlier with my mom is always, she's always my number one supporter, right? So that keeps me going. If my mom had constantly told me you can't do this, or I don't know, or it would be a lot more difficult for me. It would. So you always need to have that good energy around you. You need somebody. Stop talking to people if they don't think that you can do it. You need someone to believe in you, but more importantly, you need to believe in you.
And that's the problem, isn't it? A lot of people don't believe in themselves at all. A lot of people don't.
The other thing is there's a fine line between promoting the success and then taking constructive criticism. Now, I know with Greek families, constructive criticism has a whole different level of stuff behind it, but in general, sometimes people get stuck in their bubble And you don't need the slap in the face. You need the pat on the ass to say, hey, or the elbow that says get moving a little harder, or something that says there's constructive criticism to be learned here. And a lot of people can't take constructive criticism and instantly think it's negative and then kick out the people that are around them and replace them with yesers.
Well, yeah,
That's also a problem. Yeah, definitely. Yes, people will not help you. They will not help you. Okay? You might have especially in the esoteric community, I'm going to say something here because I do like taking strips off of the esoteric community. The esoteric community has a problem, and I call it the false positives. So the world is burning around you, right? The whole world is burning around you. But you're like, it's really warm here. It's kind of like being on a Caribbean island. The world is burning around you, okay? The false positive. I don't mean false positive in the traditional sense of the word. I mean, you guys need to come to grips with some kind of reality, okay? There is horror in the world. You need to be able to get this concept that you have to actually deal with the world. So a lot of people I have seen when their business is failing, it says, oh, the universe will help me. Let me tell you something that I told a Christian years ago, because I normally get into arguments with Christians, like daily, because of the background. Not my background, but my study background. But I get into arguments with Christians daily. I told them God helps those who help themselves. So esoteric people, if it is that your water bill is high, and you think the universe will come through with you to give you the money to pay your water bill, you might want to just turn the water off. Turn it off. Okay? Just turn the water off, right? You need to understand that there are logistics and there are technicalities in dealing in business that you must face, whether you like it or not. The universe is not going to be your lawyer. It's not going to be your accountant. Okay, it's not going to be your business coach either. You have to go get these things done on board yourself. So we have that problem, and stop being positive when things are going downhill. Face the problem, isolate the problem, remove the problem, eliminate the problem. You see Dina right there, she's a yoga teacher. And you guys have known me. I've been in esoteric since I was 13 years old, but I'm telling you that when it comes to and there's Andrew as well, right there. When it comes to business and so on, we have had to become very practical. Okay, you meditate to get the ideas, but you as a person must execute those ideas. Okay, anybody want to chime in here?
So actually, I want to take a slight little turn here. We know that there's an economic downturn coming with the lockdown of the world. I want to talk some truths of what's going to be on Main Street and what you guys have as advice for Main Street business owners. We have a lot of practitioners now who are hands-on body healers. And what are they going to do? I mean, how is the modern supply chain, all of that? Let's have a conversation about how Main Street's going to be affected by this close down and reopen.
Well, a lot of people don't know how macroeconomics works. We've said this on the show many times. A lot of people don't know how microeconomics works. Let me see if I can break this down into simple layman's English. Not too many people are making money right now. Food and beverage is being hit specifically if you're a walking store. If you don't have a delivery component, food and beverage is being hit by that thing, by this pandemic that we're in. Tourism is being hit all over the world. Nobody's traveling anywhere and nobody can congregate, so tourism is being hit. When these major industries are being hit, it disturbs the economy of a country. The country now has to try to save its citizens by inventing money from the air. Okay? There's no such thing as a contingency in case there's a pandemic fund. Okay? They take money from different aspects, like building your roads and doing other stuff, to give you guys money so that you guys can survive. When the pandemic is over, there's going to be a shortfall in the national budget. the shortfall in the national budget will have to be made up, meaning that the money has to come from somewhere. Oh, right, the money we just gave you guys, we're going to get it back in taxes. Does everybody understand me so far? Is there anybody who's not understanding? So everybody think that there's such a thing as free money. There's a pandemic, I'm getting free money, you're going to pay it back. Trust me, you guys are going to pay it back. You're going to pay it back at the store, you're going to pay it back at the gas pump, you're going to pay it back somewhere, somehow you're going to pay it back. Okay? You just don't understand that. Here's the problem. The problem is that this hiatus that you're getting in terms of economic hiatus, I'm not working, but I'm going to get money. When it comes around, you're going to be paying it back with interest that you don't have. Okay? And it's going to be very subtle. Things are going to be a little bit more expensive here, a little bit more expensive there. And that is how your lives will be affected. Okay? And if you are a business and you are suffering right now, you need a survival plan. If you don't have a plan for resiliency and survival, what is going to happen is that you guys are going to go out of business when this is done, because the economy is going to go into a deadlock. And what is going to happen is that you guys are not going to be prepared for it. Do you guys right now listening to me, those of you with business, have a resiliency and a survival plan on board? You could just say it in the chat right now. For those of you who are inside the room.
Most of them don't even know what a survival plan or a plan B is. They're still working on their basic marketing. And those that are a step beyond it don't have a plan B or a backup. Not even the big banks had a pandemic process. Okay. So Dina, what is what has happened to your business, and what are some of the plan Bs and alternate things you've done for yourself? And what advice can you give for business owners that are facing similar concepts?
Yeah, so my coconut milk is obviously on hold right now. So I thought I'm going to start focusing on my consulting. So the clients that I did have, they stopped getting money, so they stopped giving money as well. So some projects ended up going on hold. So I started researching all the different industries that are going to be okay during this pandemic. Obviously, the essentials, food, alcohol, and medical marijuana.
And fixing.
So, yeah, and fixing, right? Coming up with solutions for certain businesses right now. So I took these ideas and I contacted a few companies and said, hey, are you making any money right now? Oh, no, of course not. I'm like, okay, well, I have a pivot plan. What do you have? So I think the most important thing is to figure out what you have. Start with what you have and do what you can. So for some people, you know, you might have to switch to become essential. For others, you have to really get creative on how to give a customer an experience without coming into a store, right? So if it's for the tarot readers, this could happen, you know, through a call like this. Obviously, human touch is can't happen right now. That's a difficult one. But expanding on your different skills, expanding on what else can you offer to a client that they can't get on their own. Because we're stuck here right now with all our emotions and all our demons that, you know, a lot of people haven't confronted. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, whether it's internally or, I mean, like our nails, we still can't even get our nails done.
Okay.
So,
yeah, actually, I just wanted to chime in here. COVID-19, as I said, is the gift that keeps on giving. A lot of you did not have plans. A lot of you guys did not have any resiliency or recovery plans in case of catastrophic damage to your business. But this has taught you a lot, hasn't it? So for those of you who are specialists and only specialize in hands-on touch stuff, you need to add another component to your business. After this pandemic is over, please do that thing. Okay? Something, because you never know when this might happen again. Don't be arrogant and thinking my business was, a lot of you thought your businesses were fine and solid and whatever else. But this pandemic
they thought
has
their
shown
businesses were untouchable.
Yep.
But guess what? Healing is still based on expendable cash. Okay? And psychotherapy is still based off expendable cash. We're going to be entering a time where expendable cash is not going to be in the same process that it was before. And that's how Main Street is really going to be heavily affected, from the food and luxury industries, products. I mean, Neiman Marcus is filing for bankruptcy. J.C. Penney is filing for bankruptcy. We're going to have a big line of high quality retailers who can't sell their summer clothes, filing for bankruptcy. And then all of their tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers too. So there might be a business for somebody opening a small online clothing store with all that clothing that can't get sold.
Yes. I want to say one thing is that there are going to be a lot of businesses that are going to close. Businesses die all the time. But entrepreneurs do not die. So
they're like zombies.
We're like zombies. Knock me down, Boom, boom,
exactly.
Boom. You're right back up. It might the first time might take you 3 months, but you end up coming back like in a video game. You end up coming back like 2.0.
That's right. You respawn.
Yeah.
You respawn. You have a respawn point.
Yeah, exactly. Your reflexes are better. You're doing backflips where you couldn't even walk through. You're okay. So even if certain people are like, I don't know what to do, you got to get creative. And even if you develop a second revenue stream from what you're currently doing, that's gonna expand you as an entrepreneur and a business,
Yep. One of the things that I always tell people, my clients, you don't have a contingency plan, then you don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Because the best laid plans come to ruin depending on what the environment that you're operating in is. So you may think that you have everything under control, and then, I don't know, a pandemic happens. A pandemic happens, and then your life is done. Your business life is done, and you don't know what to do. So you need to be flexible. A lot of businesses are not very adaptable. So if you're the kind of person who is a specialist, I did my massage therapy certificate, I did my yoga teacher training certificate, and that's all I need in life, and that's all that there is. You're not skilled in necessarily anything else. You're not interested in anything else. But then you have a pandemic hit, and they put us on lockdown. I spoke to the Yoga Alliance yesterday, Dina. So they're saying that a lot of their members have switched to online schooling. The reason why I spoke to them yesterday was because I'm wondering how they're doing renewals, because the Yoga Alliance has deferred renewing your registration with them until August, I believe it is. I spoke to them yesterday. They're deferring their renewal rates, and they're saying that a lot of their people have been moved to online. So I asked the question, because, being business-minded, does that mean that the online component of teaching classes online can count towards hours in teaching? Meaning that what if people wanted to continue to use the Zoom platform to teach classes from henceforth? The answer was, oh, no, we're using it in-person hours. Look, this is what I'm trying to figure out, Dina. When this pandemic is over, imagine if all the schools decided, oh, nice, Andrew. Nice.
Right, I needed to get some sun before the rain comes today.
Yeah, you're not in sun place. Anyway, so what happens when this pandemic is over? Imagine if all the schools decided, oh, this is working out really nice for us. You guys can keep your kids at home, and we'll do the school is now online. What if that happens?
You're going to end up with a lot of people expanding their knowledge in so many different fields.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Correct. Because, online schooling is different. We are putting together a platform ourselves, right? Online schooling is easier, and it's easier on the entrepreneur, right? You just need internet and you need a camera.
Well, especially for moms, especially people who run really quick.
Correct. So you just imagine if all the schools decided, yeah, this is really working for us. This COVID-19 thing is the gift that keeps on giving. Why don't we just keep it this way? Keep your kids at home. We don't want to deal with them. We will be on the computer at XYZ time.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine that nightmare for a whole bunch of a whole bunch of parents. Imagine that kind of nightmare. No, take my kids. Take my kids. We don't want them. But business-wise, it works out for the school district. It works out for the province or the state for you to keep your kids at home. You got to feed them. We don't have to feed them.
Yeah.
Okay?
So I just got a question from a business owner in Skype. They own a campground for a summer campground for kids, and they're trying to create a new document for parents to sign that says they're not responsible for COVID-19. Do you guys have any suggestions for somebody that runs like a place for kids where they go for the summer?
Yes.
This person's trying to determine if they should even open for the summer.
A similar question was asked to me in the Zoom room privately. So I will answer that question from a legal perspective, first of all. Dina, you can answer that from a business perspective if you want to. From the legal perspective, yes, you can create a document where you sign up. Let me tell you the elements of the document that you need. You need, if you are a business owner, layered protection. And I say layered protection as in one protection fails, another one is there. So what you want to protect yourself from is civil litigation, being sued, okay? Here's how you can do that. In your agreement, please put in a tiered system of protection called alternative dispute resolution. Meaning, if you are displeased with me, you must go to mediation first. I get to choose the mediator. If mediation fails, you have to go to arbitration next. I get to choose the arbitrator and the jurisdiction in which the arbitration happens. If that fails, we're going to court. However, you pay for your own lawyer's fees and I'll pay for my own lawyer's fees, and lawyer's fees are not subject to decision and judgment. If you sign this, your kids can come to my camp. See? That's number one. For the therapist, if you guys are going to be doing therapists, you might also want to create your own version of the patient bill of rights and adjust it accordingly. Okay? But the truth of the matter is, a lot of you have signed documents where y'all have signed away your rights, but you didn't read the document, so you don't know that you signed away your rights. Okay? Go ahead, Dina.
No, I was just gonna say, in terms of like the business and an operation, just to make sure that everything, if you want to reopen in the summertime, you start getting the okay, we're obviously not going to go back to the same normal that we're used to. But there are little things that you can do. Create a system to make everybody feel safe, the parents to feel safe, and everybody coming to the campsite by, checking their temperatures, by having a few different things in line, by, the different precautions that you're taking in terms of food and contact and all those different things.
See, the thing is, nobody in that industry is trained to do any of that stuff in any way, shape, or form. And I had a private conversation with this business owner, and there are a lot of other people in the camp industry that are in a determination now, because parents are so overprotective of their children. They get lawsuits every year that are frivolous lawsuits every year. And the worry in the industry now is the frivolous lawsuits are going to go through the roof because you took a temperature of my kid and you stuck a thermometer in their mouth and whatever, or you did something. And again, it's parents and kids, they become so picky. And the industry itself there are a lot of people that are trying to determine, how do you keep kids apart? You can't. You can't keep them apart. You can't.
Unless you put everybody in a bubble. You know those bubbles that you play soccer with? That's the only way.
Right. But that industry is going to suffer, as well as many other industries that have similar business models but just do it a different way. The campgrounds, what are they going to do? That has nothing to do with kids. That's just a standard campground that rents campsites.
You know what they were talking about? They're talking about opening up the golf courses. And they're they're talking about that because golf is, you know, the person you play with another individual, you go with your caddy, you're always like 6 to 12 feet apart from one another in this scenario. So there could be a way. There's just things just need to be implemented. There's always a way.
Right. But there's not enough N95 masks for every caddy in the world.
Let me see if I get this straight, Dina. They're opening the golf courses. You know how many doctors play golf? So
Yeah.
if the hospital is suddenly short-staffed, we know why.
Oh yeah, they're all short.
Yeah.
That's another conversation.
And then sports players. The whole reason the NBA shut down because they didn't want their players suing them for COVID-19 and having permanent lung damage. I mean,
Wow.
they insure people's legs for $20 million.
Insane.
Okay. And we live in a lawsuit crazy world. And we talked before about how Main Street's going to change. Now let's talk about how Wall Street is going to do the menage a trois with Main Street and leave it in the dust.
Yeah. So
how can people protect themselves from Wall Street doing the dance on everyone?
A lot of people don't know how Wall Street applies to their life. If you're not an investor, you probably don't understand what Wall Street is. Wall Street is a trading market, okay? So the stocks of companies that own things like the soybeans that you eat, for instance.
That are commodities traded to 20 years in the future?
Yep. These are the kinds of trades that go on Wall Street. So the soybean, when it gets to $5 for one soybean, is because something wrong happened on Wall Street. Okay.
We can see this in the coffee industry. One guy took over the coffee industry and raised the price of coffee worldwide. The same thing's going on with chocolate. There's one guy that cornered the market, and it was just one big private equity company that
like what Nestle was trying to do with water.
Yeah.
Horrible. Water that you drink is a commodity now. Apparently, I didn't even know that. You had the head of Nestle saying having water is not a human right. That's a problem. When you have these kinds of things happening, if you want to ask how Wall Street is going to deal with the market, you have to understand. And I'm going to say this, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. There are soulless people out there. This pandemic has been an opportunity to make money for a lot of companies, especially the supply chain companies. Okay. Now, I have personal and professional dealings with a private supply chain company. I do. And I can tell you that business is booming. When there's a shortage of stuff, they make money. When there's a surplus of stuff, they make money. It's a win-win situation for them. However, what is going to happen and what we've seen is that it's going to, what has began to happen, I should say that, because I see that politicians are trying to fight against it. People are deliberately choking off certain kinds of commodities. Okay? They're deliberately choking off, and this is natural. People are going to try to make money by causing deficits in the economy. Okay, but you guys need to be prepared for that. So I don't want to make a suggestion, but the suggestions that I could make is when this pandemic is over, you might want to stock up on some basic stuff because prices are going to be changing definitively. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They need to make up the shortfall that they've taken, the hits that they've taken in this pandemic time. Okay, so this, while prices are reasonable, get stuff. You just put them in your pantry if you have the space and so on. And
then inflation is inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming. They're already planning exactly how much inflation they're going to be bringing to the market. But you can bet that commodity traders are looking to leverage the markets. When I say leverage, I'm using basically, if I own soybeans right now, and I know soybeans is one of the products that is very adaptable. You can make milk out of it. You can make all different sorts of things out of soybeans, including fake vegetarian meats, for instance. if I know that that is the case, and I know that if I stop giving you soybeans, the demand for it is going to rise rapidly. If I stop putting soybeans out on the market, the demand for it is going to artificially rise. All these industries, meat, fake meat producers, all the milks and so on, depend on soybeans. And if I choke the market temporarily, demand is going to artificially rise. It's going to rise. So when I start to resupply the market, I can resupply at a higher price. Does everybody understand? I'm talking gobbledygook, but you understand what I'm speaking about, right?
Oh yeah, very much.
Okay, so that has begun to happen. They're trying to enact against it, but they're going to be unsuccessful because at the rate that Wall Street trades, you cannot enact legislation. You have to enact legislation every freaking day. We know how long it takes to enact legislation. A bill has to be passed for you to enact legislation. So they're trying to catch up, and Wall Street trades too fast. So a lot of the Wall Street traders are above the law in that respect. What happens too fast. Okay, if you've ever been in if you've ever had a visit to any kind of stock exchange, you will see how fast things happen. They happen split seconds. Millions of dollars are moved in split second, in a second, in a call. Just move this money. Okay, so in terms of answering your question, you can be sure that Wall Street is going to try to balance the markets. A lot of people were artificially inflating the markets, trying to give people the confidence to invest money because they were having a deficit. So they were putting out false statements, really false statements, that certain stocks are rising. So things are looking up to get people to come in, to put money into the market, right? During the pandemic, but nobody bit. Nobody bit. So they artificially tried to inflate the market. A lot of them were trying to do that because people are more concerned about, am I going to die? Right? They're not going to be checking for how much money I'm going to make. Okay. So nobody bit and the market fell sharply. I believe up until last week, it was 150 points. Let me translate that into normal people speak. If the market falls 150 points, it means, let's say, you buy in soybeans. If a soybean costs, if a soybean costs $5, and the market falls, that means that somebody's going to take soybeans off the market temporarily to balance themselves out. Do you all understand what I'm saying? Okay. So if you say that gas prices went into negative pricing, it means that if a barrel of oil costs 1 cent, negative pricing means it costs negative 5 cents. I know this makes no sense to you guys. Yeah, there is such a thing as negative pricing. But what it does, it screws up everything you can imagine. You're thinking, well, that's good. That means it's cheaper, right? No, it means I'm going to take oil off the market. It's not going anywhere. So that when it is that the price is stabilized, I'm going to sell it to you higher.
Yeah.
To recoup my loss. Right? So don't get calm and so on. What is happening right now is governments are giving you guys money to make sure that you all stay in the game.
So you could vote in November.
Yeah, when it is, yeah, that too. When it is that this pandemic is over, you heard what your president is doing, by the way. I read the article. This is what is happening. People are getting their subsidies from the government, and they're also getting a letter signed by their leader. Mm-hmm. No, it should be signed by Congress, right? Not right. By. But anyway, never mind. Right. When you have these kinds of things happening, please understand, and I mean the Canadians who are listening to this and the US people in the US who are listening to this, when this pandemic is over, you can bet that people are going to try to recoup the losses that they have made. These are not people that are the mom and pop's grocery stores. These are conglomerates that are going to try to recoup the prices, which means that things are going to be squeezed in order to extract money out of you. So prices are going to increase. All right? Well, I don't know about y'all, but I stocked up on my toilet paper. I'm good. I'm good.
So Dina, I want
tell me,
to
Andrew.
bring you in here. Now you have multiple businesses owned, you're a fixer. What advice do you have for people to make a plan B, to deal with the raising prices, and what maybe theory or philosophy you may instill into them to begin to be prepared?
Get creative. Number one, get creative. Look at what you have, what you can do, and come up with a game plan. You got to find a demand. I saw somebody ask, should I invest in masks? You should have, like 2 months ago, would have been perfect. You know, when nobody can find it and China is still shipping in less than a week. If you do find it at a good price and you have a buyer that'll buy it at a specific price and you can make 50 cents or a quarter on it, do it. 100%. You have to, it's important to have a few different hustles. You got to be in a few different things so that you make it through. And
Agreed.
don't stop trying. Don't stop trying. You're annoying. You got to be persistent. I called to get one account. I called Farm Boy for 8 months straight, every single day, 3 p.m. And they wouldn't answer the phone. So what did I do? I drove out there in 2 snowstorms, not one. I drove out there in 1 snowstorm. They said, yeah, it looks great. I didn't get the listing forms yet. I went right back. You know, be annoying.
Yep, agreed. And I want to point out something here as another strategy. A lot of you guys are running high operating costs. Lean out your organization and your establishment and your business immediately. Do you really need that shiatsu pillow? Do you really need it? Do you really need to do certain things right now? Keep your costs low, your operating costs low, right? You don't need to be running if you don't need to be running certain things. I'll give you an example. For instance, if you are in a manufacturing business, turn off non-essential machines, save the electricity, save the operating costs, save the wear and tear. Okay, if you are a small person who's doing therapy in a room somewhere, shut down some of the lighting. Okay, take your advertising costs and get new ways of advertising and stuff like that, but reduce your costs right now so that you will have money for the future. Because if you don't do that, all the businesses are going into a sort of cocoon state until this is done, right? You have to be able to offset your costs. So if you guys are spendaholics, you need to stop it like right now. You do, especially if you're running a business. Anything else, you guys?
I want to pose a question to both of you guys. You guys have been in the corporate fixing world for a long time. And a lot of people here ask about the high-end corporate worlds, and they want an insight into the soulless corporate things. And what do you think some of the things are going to be that the high-end corporate people are going to do that are not going to get them caught or are going to get them caught? Because there are some people that are political activists and different forms of activists and just want to reveal some of the techniques that are out there that big corporations use to not just price gouge and screw the people, but kind of reveal their playbook.
You want to go first, Dina, or you want me to go first on this one?
Go first.
A lot of people have the mistaken belief that high-end corporate people have to listen to whatever law that you guys come up with. That would be a false belief. Depending on what it is, you have to understand that people in high-end corporate positions, they got that way by being smart. So right now, if you are a therapist, I can tell you at least 3 different loopholes in law that will allow you to do certain things that you wouldn't necessarily do. It would be legal, it just wouldn't be ethical. You have to distinction between what is legal and what is ethical. Okay, so as an example, let's take Shell as an example. You know the oil company Shell? This is a public case, so I can discuss it on air. I want to get oil. Nigeria has oil. I'm just going to set up in Nigeria. I'm going to pay a politician to pass a grant for me, and then I'm going to drill some oil under the natives that live there, and I'm going to poison their land. But don't worry, because I'm going to make 300 million, and then they will sue me, and I'll pay them 7 million. You understand that? Do you all understand that? So let's move on to Samsung and Apple. You do realize that they've been sued several times. They've been suing each other back and forth. They now have a suing fund to anticipate them being sued. So when I say that you guys have the mistaken impression that the corporate world has to listen to whatever laws you guys have, I really mean it. Because if I'm making hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, you suing me is not going to harm me. You're going to take $7 million, that's it? That's all? Really? Pfizer, pharmaceutical company. We would like to test our drugs. We need to know if they work. So you know what? We're going to test them on children in Africa. Okay? Why would I test them on children in Africa? I would test them on children in Africa specifically because I need to make sure that my drugs work so that I can pass FDA approval in the US. I can't try them on children in the US because, you know, the US has an issue. And Africa has a cap as to how much I could be sued for. So I test them on children in Africa. A couple hundred children die. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Okay? Because the parents can sue me and then I will have to pay them in their currency, which would be what? This is playbook, textbook corporations, corporate maneuvers. But let me show you another maneuver that is being done. Corporate social responsibility, something called CSR that huge corporations do. CSR is I pretend to care about anything. It could be the environment, it could be the local football team, it could be whatever else. It could be people who are disabled. I pretend to care. So I'm going to build a walkway here, I'm going to build a walkway here, but I don't really care. I've been in these meetings before. I've actually sat down and seen these meetings. And I have been properly disgusted by the lack of care and concern. But it looks good to the public facing image, it looks good. But the fact is I don't really care. Because the walkway that I build for the disabled person to get to where he's going is so that the disabled person can come and pay me money. Do you understand how that works? So whereas the disabled community gets subsidies from the government, and I want some of those subsidies, but they can't get to my place so that they can't pay me, I make a heading. When I'm talking about real cases that I've actually seen. I make a heading in the newspaper. My company is now building walkways for the disabled community. I just kind of leave out that it's because I want them to pay me money. And let's take an idea of taxes, for instance. If I own a company which has a lot of, which is raking in millions and billions of dollars, but I don't want to pay the government taxes, I'm going to have my wife set up a foundation, a charitable foundation, and then I'm going to donate money from my company to my wife's charitable foundation so that the government could smile upon me because I need a tax relief because I'm donating this much money to what? My wife? Yes, Dina, take it away.
Were you just talking about Bill Gates and Melinda Gates?
I don't want to. I wasn't going to mention it. No, Dina, this is something that is being done everywhere. Yeah, this is being done everywhere.
You explained Bill Gates and Melinda Gates pretty well over there.
Right, and this is something that is happening, and I have sat in because I've like I've been in these environments before, and I've sat in and I've looked at the soullessness that happens. And Andrew, you've seen some of this before. We've had clients.
Oh yes. Oh,
We've had
yes.
clients who have defrauded people and looking for a way out of it, right? And they hire people like, well, me, right? They used to hire people like me to find a way out of it, and it's disgusting. And I wanted to say this to you guys: if you guys are at your homes and you're thinking, well, corporations are heartless, you have no idea what we're talking about here. Okay, everything that you buy, everything you consume, okay, every tax that you pay, you think you're paying it to the government, but the corporations are what really run the country. All right, the corporations are what really run the country. I have seen the way they manipulate politicians, and I'm not talking about lobbyists in the States. It's obvious. You guys are just, you have no subtlety whatsoever. It's like, I will give you money. Please vote my bill into existence so that my corporation can make money. In Canada, it's a little bit more subtle. It is. Would you like to know how it works in Canada? For those of you who are particularly interested, this is how it works. You need to get reelected. We don't have a lobbyist kind of thing like the US does. What it looks like in Canada is something like this. I will create a campaign for you. So the elected officials have sub-campaigns everywhere from corporations. Okay? There are some politicians in Canada who are completely bulletproof. They will win their constituency every time they run. Okay? Because they're in bed with corporations. And it's not that the corporations give them money. The corporations actively manufacture votes for them. Okay? And that's why, even though certain areas in Canada, you know that MP is going to win. He's just going to win. People give up voting. So to say that Canada is better than the US in terms of this political spectrum stuff is neither here nor there. But the reason why I'm saying these things is because in terms of corporate North America, the hold and the stranglehold that they have over people's lives is not an illusion. It's not. It really isn't. Okay. And so for those of y'all who are doing the right thing and going to work assiduously and getting on with what you're getting on with, I applaud you. I don't think y'all will be millionaires, but I applaud. I couldn't. You guys might never become millionaires, but I applaud you. The reason why I applaud you, because it is better to do things the right way and make money than to continue to screw people over. And I will have to say this, and I have to say this with the best intention. It's much better to do things the right way. It is.
Unfortunately, corporate world won't do it the right way.
No, really? No, we were taught in business. I was taught in business school not to do certain things the right way. You're taught to be smart, not to be ethical. There are no ethics in business, is what my professor said to me. I remember during that time, and I went to a very good school. They told me, my professor said to me, there is no ethics in business. I said,
it's cutthroat.
It's total cutthroat, worse than piracy. So Dina, what parts of the corporate game plan do you want to reveal to people so that they can understand the nature of corporate philosophy and the shit that's going to go on in the next couple months?
I'll give a few examples. So for instance, when everything had started to happen, I, like a lot of other people, started looking for hand sanitizer by bulk so that I could sell it to the government. Because Canadian procurement website was up and they're looking for sanitizers and masks and a bunch of different items. But I did come across these COVID-19 test kits. And I thought, oh my God, I'll be the first one to get them and sell them to the government. This is a good one and it's gonna help people. Meanwhile, the fact that I started researching who was invested in who. So I started creating this whole little map tree where Bill Gates invests, who Bill Gates invests in, who Donald Trump invests in. And then I started to narrow down to see, okay, who's going to make the vaccine, who's going to win the bid for the vaccine, and who's going to actually get the FDA approval on these COVID-19 tests. So it wasn't even, it's not ever a race on who's going to do it first. It's who's got the connection. Yeah. You know, I was so shocked. I found this test late February, and I think they started selling them in South Korea, but we have a shortage.
We have a shortage here in the States too. We're not even at 1% tested.
Yeah, masks. So masks, they have masks. They could ship masks. I've contacted so many different people around the world, suppliers. Masks are available.
But why do they want you to think there are no masks?
Scare you. Fear. It's a fear tactic. If we're going to get into that, it's a fear tactic. They're trying to scare us, right? They want us to be scared. They want us to trust our government. They want us to sit at home and
collect their free paycheck while they fuck us in the ass.
It's basically like, yeah, exactly. It's basically like pushing us to become communists almost. Like, what are you doing? Who asked for $2,000 a month to stay at home and do nothing and make TikTok videos? Like, this whole TikTok
I concur with Dina.
Right?
Andrew, I concur with Dina. I worked, I had a client who was very big in the Canadian economy, and when this thing started, they said, David, you're valuable to us, so we're sending you a box of masks. I have 27 masks. I'm like, okay, where did you get that from? He said, well, we're in supply chain. So guess what? We get masks. you don't get the... Right, so I have like 27. I got this box of masks. They didn't want me to die, right? Hilarious.
I think we lost David for a second there. His video's freezing. While we're waiting for David to come back, Dina, do you want to give people your website, your juice website, all that information?
Yeah, well, I can give my email. Do you want me just to pop it in the chat here? Or David, David, are you back? Do you have it?
Yeah, I have it. I do have it. Let me see if I can.
All right.
Your video just paused there for a minute, David.
Yeah, I know.
It's going up and down.
I just turned on a.
Or David, you can pop it in the chat.
Yep. So, oh, Dina, that's your stuff?
Where? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, Jen got it in.
Okay. And so
I don't have a website for the plug yet. We just didn't have time to make the site because we've had a few customers. But if you send me a message, I can send over a portfolio of all the different brands that I've created, different websites I've built, and products that I'm sourcing. So I'm sourcing MCT for CBD companies, de-icing road salt for municipalities. I think there's a description. So a few more things that I'm doing. I'm working with an LP, develop a leisure brand and medical brand.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
A very industrious person who knows how to stay motivated and how to hustle. And that's my next thing. Hustle, hustle, hustle. So many people, that word is toxic to them, especially the people in the esoteric community. They think spirit will bring them every client and every dollar, but they don't know how to hustle. So let's jump into the hustle word and what it really means for the person in business.
Yeah. So the universe is always going to have your back, 100%. I'll start there. And there's been times where I was down to my last dollar, but I got that money back the very second, the next moment. I did. But I was fully dived into what I believed in myself. So I was fully dived into this juice company that at the beginning was making no money. But I just kept believing in myself. But I was pushing. I was working extremely hard. Day and night I was working. I woke up juice, went to sleep juice. Everything was just juice. You know, I didn't have my nails done. I didn't even download a song for like 4 years. That's how much hard work, but hard work equals success. Hard work, preparation, and a little bit of luck. So you're going to be able to do it if you gotta hustle. There's no other way around it. You gotta hustle. You see an opportunity, you need to see where can I make money on this opportunity. You know, I was in situations where somebody asked me, hey, can you make me 50 liters of lemon juice, ginger and lime? I said, yeah, okay. How much do you pay for your lemons? Oh, I paid $65. Like, whoa, that's a lot of money. I paid like 25. But I didn't tell them that. Why would I tell them that? We're in business. My business is to make money. It's not to be, I'm going to be honest with the other side. I'm not going to make any money there. I ended up in a situation where I was stuck with like 40 boxes of lemons after I juiced them and told me it's too much lemon juice. So I took those lemons and I started driving. I put all the lemons in my car. And I'm like, I have to get rid of these lemons. I'm not going to let these lemons go to waste. I paid a really good price for these lemons. Regardless, I made my money back. But still, why would I lose it? So I went down and I started driving around, got out of my car, and I walked into restaurants, Greek restaurants. And I said, hey, I have lemons. Really nice lemons. And, you know, this Greek lady walked up to me. She goes, let me see your lemons. Sees my lemons. She goes, bring me 3 boxes of those lemons. Okay. So I went on my Greek restaurants and lemons. I went to every single Greek restaurant. I got rid of all the lemons. That happened again with blueberries once. I called and I was calling gelato places and ice cream places, and I was saying, hi, this is Eve from Garden of Eden Organics. We have organic blueberries. What else am I gonna do? I couldn't lose an entire skid of blueberries. You gotta
Hustle.
get creative.
Once again, people are allergic to the word.
I know why they're allergic to the word. They think it makes them feel like they're begging or they're being whatever else. That's why they're allergic to the word. Let me explain something to you. I know a billionaire. I do. That billionaire's mother, when she goes to shop, she literally has the driver to every store imaginable so she can get the lowest price. I want you to know that this woman's allowance per month is somewhere in the region of $300,000 per month. Okay? And you're really going to have a driver drive you around or the best price of apples? Seriously. So I'm just saying this to you to tell you that the mentality where it is that you get to where you want to go, it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or billionaire, you don't have to be that cheap. But the idea that you have to continuously work at becoming successful is important. You need to deprogram your mind from the concept that hustling is begging. Let me tell you what hustling is. Hustling is survival. Okay? If you were starving on the street right now, you will have a choice. Be proud and die. Jen, I'm a hustling pregnant mama. Jen, we'll take care of you, Jen.
Yes.
We'll take care of you, Jen. Jen is our moderator of Dina. Okay. So when it is that you don't, hustling is taking care of yourself. And hustling does not have to look like please, 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 please. It doesn't have to look like that. You look at Dina. Dina looks like she's begging anybody. When Dina speaks to you that this is business. I have a product. You have a need. Especially if you're Greek and you own a restaurant. Not that I'm saying anything, Andrew. Right? Especially if you're Greek, you have a need. You're gonna need lemons. Some way, somehow, you're gonna need lemons.
Lemons, olive oil, oregano, and garlic.
And these are the best lemons.
Yes.
Even if they're not, but they look like pretty good lemons, right?
I want to touch on one more thing, David, before you finish.
Mhm.
So many people followed to being a victim of Begonomics.
Begonomics, that's nice.
Begonomics. Okay. Now, unfortunately, a lot of YouTube personalities, because YouTube changed their heuristic in 2014 and killed the business, they become beggars. Beg, pay for this, Begonomics. And hustling is not Begonomics.
No.
And there's a big difference. Hustling is, I'm motivated to do this, and nothing's going to stop my motivation.
Let me tell you something. Would you like to know why Dina's on the show? Because when I met Dina, the way she presented herself to me was like, okay, this woman has no chill. She's going to run with whatever I tell her. I'm like, she's going to run with whatever I put forward to her. The way you present yourself in business, as in, you're not presenting yourself with your shoulders slouched. Your general deportment says everything about you when it is that you're dealing with people. For those of you who are making videos and advertisement videos and you're out there and you're making videos with this sort of demure kind of appearance, you need to change that. You need to hustle and say, this is my product. You need my product because of X, Y, and Z. That will impress people that you know what you're talking about and you're willing and you're able and you are motivated to provide a service or product. What you don't want to do is present yourself as too proud and you're not communicating with them. You're not reaching your audience.
You don't need to be bare-chested with a pile of puppies or kittens in your hands to attract clients.
No.
When you said bare-chested, you mean, never mind, forget it. My mind just went to the wrong place right there. Right, so anyway, moving right along. No, you don't need to be that. You don't need to be that person. But what we want to emphasize on you guys who have businesses and so on, we want to motivate you first of all. We want to make you all understand that it's in your best interest to get out there and be in people's faces, okay? Because nobody's going to know you exist. Nobody knows you exist. A whole bunch of people in the chat, they tell me I do this and I do that. I never heard of you guys. Why have I never heard of you guys? Because you guys have not been in everybody's face. This morning, I heard from a lady who owns a restaurant, a vegan restaurant, let's just say, right? She wasn't afraid to just reach out. She wasn't afraid to reach out, okay? So this morning, I'm like doing my morning ritual stuff. And I get this message on Facebook and I'm like, whoa, she wasn't afraid to reach out. And you guys need to develop that quality about you. You guys need to develop that quality and just reach out there and just do it. Like Nike, just do it. That's what Nike told you. That doesn't mean you should go buy Nike shoes. That's not going to help your business. But you should just do it, okay? Andrew, what do we have time for at least one call?
Yeah. All right, people that are in the chat room and let's say want to have a conversation with David and Dina and myself, go ahead and raise your hand. And if you are listening on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, or any of the other things, you can come into the Zoom room, go to zoom.us. And the entrance number, the room number is 911-001-1974. So go ahead and raise thy hand. Let's see. Robert, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who wants to have a conversation.
Okay, first person we're going to go with is David M. You are unmuted with your questions.
David, are you there? Hello, David, are you there? Going once, David. Going twice, David. Looks like he's still muted, Robert.
Yeah, I can't get him in. Then let's try Patty.
Oh, he's unmuted. He's unmuted. David,
Oh,
are you there?
Yes.
Hi, where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Israel.
From Israel. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
What questions do you have for us today?
By the way, it's our Independence Day today. Started an hour ago. So if
happy Independence Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's exciting to be on your show.
Great. What questions do you have for the group today?
First of all, I have lots and lots of questions, but because you talk about business and money and stock exchange, let me ask you what is happening. I mean, the gap between the economic situation and the levels that the stock exchange reached the last 3-4 weeks, it's almost unbelievable. I saw that Nasdaq is only 4% lower this year. And I heard you, Andrew, you said that you think, correct me if I'm wrong, that Dow Jones will go down to 13,000. I think you said that.
Yes,
Now
and it'll probably be June that it'll hit that. Right now, everything's overinflated because the big boys are deleveraging.
Yes, correct. They're deleveraging on purpose. On purpose.
And there is an explanation to that? I mean,
yes.
Did anyone guessed a month ago that the stocks will go up and up and up?
I predicted that. I said they will go up before they go back down. They'll go down 6,000, up 3,000, down 6,000, up 3,000, so that the deleveraging looks normal. So right now they're trying to promote gold, even though no one's actually, most people are buying fiat chunks of gold. No one actually has a real gold bullion contract. And there are a lot of companies that are money laundering companies that are just there to launder drug money, and all the big banks launder drug money, and they're getting out of the zombie companies and deleveraging those out of their systems.
1 second, you guys are talking about the audience said I need to break that down for you. Break that down. So Andrew, explain what deleveraging is to them.
So a bank will have 600% more money on its books and margin calls than it has in its banks as collateral or resources.
Correct. So now, in case you guys are wondering how this affects your lives, because I know whenever people start talking to stock markets, I see people's eyes glaze over like we don't understand what does this mean. What it means to you is that at the region of where you pay money, of where you, all the little things in your house, everything that you buy, your shampoo, everything else is affected by the stock market. When there is a shortfall at the stock market, your lives are not comfortable. It isn't.
Yes.
So when you hear stock market is tanking, that means that your prices are going to go up because there's going to be less commodities on the market. Okay, and people are, especially, let's say you have 5 soybean companies that produce 5 soybeans a week. If 2 of those soybean companies go out of business, you have 15 soybeans on the market. You have the same amount of demand, which means that these soybeans suddenly become more valuable. So I'm just going to break this down as you guys go along, because you're not having a high level discussion and people need to know what's going on here. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, so just, I guess there are some simple explanations and complicated explanations for that. So I'm just trying to understand, is the prediction in June that prices will go up this coming month on May, and then they will go down, or do you predict that they will start dropping soon?
So the supply chain has to crash first. And then the supply chain companies have to determine if they're bailed out or going bankrupt. And that is going to determine if the supply chain company is going to, many of the supply chain companies, and then the actual retailers that are tier 1, tier 2, and have tier 1, tier 2 suppliers are going to have bailouts in their individuated countries. Like China hasn't figured out a full bailout for its corporations yet. And most of those companies ran out of cash a month ago. So ultimately, June means the United States stock market, which is running via the petrodollar, will have to crash to around 13,000 because it was overinflated. That's the real value of the stock market right now, 13,000. That's the bottom. Is it 14.5? I don't think so. My opinion is it's 13,000 is the real value of the United States stock market. All they have been doing is these corporate buybacks, the stock buybacks for a decade and a half now. And ultimately they have oversold everything. And there are so many zombie companies that produce nothing, literally produce nothing, yet they are stock market traded companies that many of the big investment companies come in, and your mom and pop, your funds, your different retirement funds buy into these zombie companies that are just stock market traded companies. They don't actually do anything.
You also have to factor in that in the United States, the Fed is buying up everything that is useful.
Right. And is becoming 10% stakeholders in all the companies it's buying out.
Yes.
Which is not much different. It's kind of funny. I always like it when people make political comments. We're not a socialist state. We're not a communist state. But if the government owns 10% of stuff, you're heading that way. Do you understand how that works?
Yeah. Now, one more thing to add about the stock market in general. The stock market has many economic indicators in it that have been manipulated over the last 25 years. And one of them is the LIBOR. Do you guys remember the LIBOR scandal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so that ended up being like a $7 billion fine for HSBC, $7 billion. That barely was a drop in the bucket to them. Okay? Like the biggest fine in history. It was already factored in. We're going to see the CDO market and the CMO market and the COS market all implode. There's probably going to be a $4 trillion margin call on Tuesday next Tuesday, in 7 days from now, because of all these oil contracts that are now null and void because oil has stayed below $20 a barrel. And it's written into these contracts. If it ever goes below 20 a barrel, the contracts are null and voided. And then that triggers all the betting markets, which is the CDO, all those other markets that bet on trades failing.
Yes. People don't understand that, so I'm going to just break that down for you. There are companies and there are individuals who trade on the stock market that are negative traders. They trade hoping that things will go badly.
Right. And they know it's going badly.
And in this case, they're going to be they're happy, right? And it's like I sometimes say, COVID-19 is the gift that keeps on giving. And it's for some people, it's given them a lot of gifts.
If I may add, that I know that many investors gambled on the stocks to go down a month ago, so they lost a lot of money because they
weren't aware of the deleveraging that was coming, because the big banks made it look really, really sneaky. They did sneaky of sneaky, and they're going to do it 2 more times.
They have to. They don't have a choice.
This first round deleveraged them from 600% to 400%. That's all it did. So there's another 400%.
Andrew, I have a question to ask you.
Sure.
And now I have a question to ask you. In any sane society, this should be illegal, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
It should be illegal. It's a financial crime. It should be a financial crime, but there is nothing on the books to say that they can't do that.
Correct.
And I'm wondering why there's this gap in law where this is concerned, because I know in Canada, people don't understand that what happens in the US affects Canada directly. We are part of a trade agreement with the US. So when banks in the US and banks all over the world, for instance, do nonsense, it affects people in places that you would not even imagine. You're thinking like, well, none of this stuff has anything to do with me. Yes, it absolutely has a lot to do with you. It absolutely has to do a lot with you. So when you go to the store, you only realize that when you go to the store. And as somebody just wrote in the chat about 2008, people think that 2008, the recovery was legitimate recovery. And we know better now.
It's not. It was fake, 100% fake. So I want to bring Dina in to add her comments on the stock market and what she thinks is going to happen here.
Well, what I think is going to happen is I think people who have already invested, I don't think it's a good idea to pull anything out, because whatever goes down is going to go right back up. People just need to be patient. You need to be patient, and you need to act like you have a lot of money.
Oh, that was hilarious. I like that, Dina. That's very good advice.
Yeah, well, because people that have a lot of money are not sweating as much right now, right? And they know the market. They know that things go up and things go down. And if anything, pulling out right now is not a good idea, because we could potentially, well, I'm pretty sure we're approaching a recession. So if that's the case, things are going to go even lower before they go back up.
Correct.
So I don't know. My game plan is to hoard as much cash as I can. And when the stocks do fall to its bare minimum, then that's when the opportunity is going to present itself. Then the housing market is going to go lower. And then a lot of, well, it's inevitable, right? If 60%, I'm pretty sure 60% of banks are shadow banks. So they're not backed by the Federal Reserve. If they drop off and they have no support, then we are really going for a recession.
No, the thing about it is the recession is going to be inevitable because they have spent money which they do not have. The stuff that's on their books is not actually what they actually have physically, but you're a bank, so you're allowed a certain amount of leeway, right? But what actually happens in the stock market, and you're right, that is the best game plan. If you guys have money, reduce your costs, right? And if you are an investor, trade when the market crashes at its minimum, right? Buy stocks in the crash and just hold on to them. Because the truth of the matter is they're going to have to do something different, because that's a world crash we're talking about. The first quarter in terms of trading, the first quarter of this year has been completely lost. It would appear that the second quarter will be lost as well. David, this is to speak to what you're saying here.
And the third quarter is lost too, because the supply chain has to crumble and be restructured.
Well, they knew that this is going to come. Now, my question is more of a legal question. All of this is really horrible stuff, huh? This is horrible stuff.
Call it financial crimes against humanity.
But you just got to roll with it. So those of you in the chat who don't know what we're speaking about is basically your lives, your kids' lives. Right, your RSPs, your pension plans. We're speaking about all of those things, okay? And in order for you to be happy, people need to be able to pay you, like the government, if you're a government worker. And if they don't have money, you just won't have money yourself. This affects your lives directly. So I understand that we may be having a high-level discussion between Andrew, Dina, and David and myself. But please understand that a lot of this stuff is going to affect you eventually. So please hold on to your money, don't spend it, and buckle up for the wild ride that's coming.
David, do you have any other questions that you wanted to ask?
Yeah, Dina, I believe you have to jump off this call real quick, right?
I do. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thanks a lot, Dina. You have been a really inspiring person to have on. I look forward to having you on again, too.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this experience. It was really good. And yeah, if anybody needs anything, feel free to reach out to me.
David M is muted. Go ahead. Yeah. So, Dina, thank you very much. I'm sorry for the short notice. Really, really good to have you here. Okay. And I will certainly be in touch with you a little bit later.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Right. Take it easy. Have a good one.
Thank
Robert,
you.
can you unmute David again?
David, are you with us?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I didn't have the chance to say thank you for your answers. And I don't know if I have time for another question.
Go ahead.
But maybe less money issues and maybe more to the spiritual. Mm-hmm. If you can, Andrew, to refer to Israel in the things you were so good at, in the perspective of a galactic historian, the role of Israel, the future of Israel. If you can say a few words about us as a country.
The
Maybe
role of
about-
Israel right now is it's individuated people throwing off the shackles of chivalry that have contained it for so long. The rules and dogmas that have ruled it have to be reformed. And right now you have a battle between Netanyahu and Benny Gantz that is beginning to look a lot like paid political theater. And the people stepped up. They had your COVID-19 march in the street where everyone's 6 feet apart. The people themselves will inspire a whole world of other people when you stand up to the corruption as well as to the dogmatic politics of domination and control. That's its role right now. But that's the role of every country out there if it should choose to step up on a world stage. Israel is going to be forever focused on a world stage because of the major religions' grievances there. And the individual people of Israel, hear me. You have a stage in which you can learn to play your own political theater on a worldwide stage if you should choose to come together and not in a form of dogma or ideological systems that control and manipulate, but allow a freedom of thinking, a freedom of thought, a freedom of choice. That is what has been projected since Israel was created, that this is the only way. This is the country of the chosen people. No, it's the chosen people of today who are choosing to be conscious beings of choice, to say have the right, the unalienable right to be me, no matter what a dogmatic philosophical government of corruption says. That's its role. Now, has it played this role well? No, it hasn't. Only recently have been the young and the old stepping up and saying, I can do something different. In the past, it was healing the traumas and the wounds. But before Israel was created, there were no traumas and wounds in those countries other than what was done during the times of the Crusaders, which also had its own resolution. And then the major religions turned against each other, and ultimately there was peace for long periods of time. There was. You look at the realness of the history. They figured out how to live together, work together, as well as share the city, share Jerusalem. Okay? The role of I'll just put it this simply. The role is not an esoteric role. It's not a religious role. It's an individuated choice role. And yes, religion is going to help people make choices. But ultimately, if you're going to try to show the world what is morally and ethically right and how to run a morally, ethical government that doesn't use corruption and the other forms of domination and control, you step up and say no with such conviction and force that the politicians listen or they get removed from office. Listen, there are enough wealthy Israelis and Jewish people around the world that can change the thinking if they wanted to. Right now, dogma and esoteric philosophy and esoteric politics run the show there. How do you break that?
Do you think Netanyahu is responsible for that?
100%. He should be taken up on war crimes against the world. Period. Do you think he's a war criminal? And this has nothing to do with Palestine. It's what he's done to the rest of the world.
So do you believe Gantz can be a better prime minister for us?
No. Unless they are running on a strict anti-corruption policy, no. Israel's reached the tipping point where its corruption has gotten so bad that it is unfixable until there's a person running solely on the platform of anti-corruption. And it's the same thing here in the United States. corruption for corruption's sake. Now, what Benny Gantz does have a chance to do is change the dogmatic philosophies so that they don't run politics. Change the message and allow people to realize there are many more choices that we can choose as a people. Netanyahu's locked into one message, my way or the highway.
There are not enough good candidates to replace him.
Because
It
they know that they will be run through the ringer or worse, killed. Okay? Politics in any country means you have to get blood on your hands to be at those high levels. And there are a lot of really good people who don't want bloody hands, and that's why they don't get into politics. But once again, even a politician with bloody hands can change the message. You guys have the motivation. Are you really to stand up to the dogmatic politicians and the dogmatic philosophies that have locked you into this position?
I have
of their way is the only way.
I have an announcement for you guys. It just popped up on my phone because I've been reading it. Dow Jones erases 380-point gain Tuesday morning as tech-related and healthcare shares drag stock markets lower. So that would speak to what we just said. It just popped up on my phone. Mm-hmm. These are tech-related and healthcare shares. It dragged the stock market. Healthcare. In case that went over you guys' head. Healthcare shares drag the stock market lower. But to answer your question, well, Andrew, when is the election?
November 3rd.
Well, that's an important election.
Yeah. We'll even determine if we make it there. All right, David, thanks for calling in. We got to end the show now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for listening in. We will be here this Thursday for another adventure into reality where we'll be talking all the esoteric stuff in the world. And David, any last any last thing you want to say?
No, this has been actually a very interesting show. I got to divulge a lot of information. As I said, Andrew and I will be preparing a webcast for business owners. We will be advertising it soon enough. For those of you who want more information or personalized information, we'll be largely dealing with on-site advice and coaching where your business is concerned. Andrew, I don't know when we're going to do this product, but it will be within the next month or two. Okay, so just watch out for that.
All right, everybody, take it easy, and we'll see you this coming Thursday. Take us away, Robert.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise.
Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.